Hey guys, what's going on? This is Christian Martinez, and I'm here for I hope to be the final chapter of My Little Pony: Friendship is Tragic by Venomilla. And last time I got interrupted by someone calling me, but anyways, if you want to watch the previous parts, I'll put it down in the description below. So without further ado, let's get on to the reading. Let me go back to what here. Applejack turned away, embarrassed slightly. Twi, please do me a favor. When Dash wakes up, tell her I'm sorry. Twi knelt down next to Rainbow Dash, holding her in her arms. You tell her, she said in a weeping, quiet voice. I can't. I have to go check on something, and I don't have much time. Applejack said, turning from Twilight and Rainbow Dash, about to head off. And Twi, whatever that flowermouth says, don't go looking for her. Please. She didn't give Twilight a chance to respond and galloped off, leaving Twilight holding Rainbow Dash in her arms. Gently stroking Rainbow Dash's mane as she looked up at the raging fire that was consuming the large mansion, Rarity came storming over with several stallions in tow and stomped her hooves in front of Twilight. My beautiful home, my fashion designs, my everything, it's all gone, thanks to those two ruffians, she screamed as loud as she could, making sure to stomp the ground again. It shows her immense displeasure. Twilight gripped Rainbow Dash tighter in fear and looked up, trying to find Fluttershy, but still saw no sign of her. Where's Fluttershy? She asked. Rarity stomped the ground again. That's the least of my concern right now. You stallions, what are you doing? Find water, put the fire out now! Rarity yelled as loud as ever. She could. As the stallions gave each other a nervous look before running off to look for water. Twilight shook her head slowly in despair. Rarity turned back to look at her burning house. Maybe it's not too late. I can still salvage some dresses at the east wing. Eh! Rarity screamed as a tiny Ursa ran past her, and Twilight followed the cockatrices and several other animal and creatures. Rarity could not watch in honor, as shocked as her entire stock ran past. My beautiful. Her voice trailed off as she noticed Fluttershy standing at the edge of the far garden, with a set of keys in her mouth and a steely look in her eye. Fluttershy, what have you done? She screamed. But Fluttershy had dropped the keys and ran off with tears in her eyes. Rarity collapsed onto a sobbing heap on the ground. I'm ruined. Ruined. Years of hard work all gone in an instant. She sat there motionless in a moment before turning to Twilight with a nasty glare in her eyes. You! This is your fault! She screamed at Twilight, who was far too drained at the point to even reply with words. She just sat there crying with Rainbow Dash. If you had not come back, if you had not written that stupid letter, and brought them together, if you had not... Rarity watched the Twilight, ignored her, picking up Rainbow Dash, placing her onto her back. Wait, where do you think you're going? Rarity demanded. You can't just leave after I... Twilight turned her head as she slowly walked away. Just don't, Rarity. It was all Twilight said, as she picked up the pace and went off in the same direction as Fluttershy, leaving Rarity behind, who stood there dumbfounded in a complete disbelief as escaping creatures ran around her, and the line in her mansion burned everything it could touch. Twilight had been walking aimlessly around for 20 minutes down the road, unable to pay attention to where she was going. The tripping and stumbling every so often when Rainbow Dash started to stir. Where am I? She muttered in a daze. Twilight stopped and turned her head to check on Rainbow Dash, whose face was still bruised and swollen, and began to weep softly. "You're safe now," Twilight said as she made her way over to the large tree and placed Rainbow Dash on the ground against it. "Safe from what? Applehead?" I was just about to. Rainbow Dash groaned with pain as. "Who am I kidding, right?" As she talked. "Who am I kidding, right? I could never beat her, even when you were younger." She looked around for Applejack, but saw she was nowhere to be seen. "Hey, wait. Hey, wait. Where is Applejack?" I thought, "Where's Applejack? Fluttershy, rarity." She asked, turning her head slowly as she could not cause more discomfort, looking for the others, but saw no other pony. Twilight sat next to her. "Rarity's back in her hole in the ground. We're not going back. Fluttershy, I'm not sure, and Applejack took off somewhere. She told me to tell you that she was sorry." Twilight explained and gave a loud, heavy sigh. Rainbow Dash looked confused in the face. "Ah, forget it," was she said before they sat there for a while. But after time had passed slightly, they both heard a soft rustle in the bushes, looked at it. Who's there? Who's there?" Twilight asked, her throat tensing in fear. A small yellow hoof timidly stepped out from behind the green bush. "Fluttershy!" Twilight gasped as she got up and rushed over to hug her. "Oh, thank goodness you're okay," she cried out, embracing in a hug. The Fluttershy returned a hug before they both went over to Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy sat down next to Rainbow Dash, nuzzling in beside her. "Ow! Cut it out! I'm okay, really, Fluttershy. I've had worse." Rainbow Dash joked as Fluttershy laid there, her head on Dash, utterly exhausted by the day's events. After a few silent minutes, Twilight composed herself to turn to Rainbow Dash for some answers. "Rainbow, I'm scared to ask now. After all what happened, you were trying to tell me about Pinkie, for the others to react the way they did. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I don't want to know anymore, but..." Twilight wasn't sure if she wanted to hear, but she had come too far this day. Rainbow Dash looked up, and Twilight gave a heavy sigh. Wait, Dash looked up at Twilight and gave a heavy sigh. Chapter 6, Pie of the Beholder. Alright, here we go. Twilight prepared herself as Rainbow Dash began to tell of what happened. Pinkie Pie, well, she's kind of, well, she was always so random and crazy, but remember what you told her? Remember when you said you would come back in a few months? Well, she decided to throw a party every week in your honor until you came back. Twilight managed to crack a small smile. "That sure sounds like Pinkie Pie," she said, and Rainbow Dash nodded in agreement. "Yeah." "It was weird at first. It was kind of fun for a while, but by the 6th week or so, it started to get annoying. But well, after a while, more than a few months had passed, and you were still gone, it kind of told her to stop." Fluttershy nodded slightly, but she said no. She said you were coming back, that you were just late, that's all. And although we all behaved, that, well, the longer it went on, the less sure we all were. Rainbow Dash frowned as her eyes began to water. Twilight frowned too. "In all honesty, Dash, I wasn't sure myself. I can't understand how it may have seemed with the reports." Rainbow Dash gave a nervous smile and continued, holding back the tears as she did. "Oh, Pinkie kept at it. but you could see that she was starting to crack. And when that day came, we all heard about it. Princess Celestia, Pinky refused to believe you were dead too. She said you promised that you would come back, and the title will never break a promise, silly, as I quote. Sadness and guilt began to weigh on Twilight, and it showed in her face. Rainbow continued. She kept holding a party for you every week, even through the mourning period. Eventually, Pony started to avoid her, and we were all worried. So we tried to put a stop to it. We went to see her only when she wasn't home. She had left a note on the front door. And it says, here comes my Pinky voice. Dear Meanies, Twilight isn't here anymore. I couldn't figure out why she wouldn't come home to Ponyville. So I thunk that I tried to figure out where she could be able would not gone to if she didn't come back to Ponyville. I checked Canterlot, but Princess Luna wouldn't tell me where she went. So I thought think some more, and where would a unicorn who loves magic go to hide? And it hit me, the most magical place I ever went, every forest. So I've gone there to see her. I guess you meanies who won't believe she's okay can come visit us. So I'm leaving this note. Love, Pinky. Oh, P.S. Bring cake. After that, after Rainbow finished reading the letter, she and Fluttershy looked at each other, then both turned their gaze to Twilight. Well, when we got there, Pinky, Twilight gasped in horror, cutting Rainbow Dash off. No, Pinky can't be dead. Tears began to sprout immediately. Dash shook her hoof while Fluttershy tried to calm Twilight down, patting her on the back. No. She's alive. It's just she's happy. Twilight stopped crying enough to ask, what? Happy? What do you mean? That makes no sense. Rainbow scooted closer to Twilight softly and spoke. She's with you now. We're having one everlasting party. Twilight was confused now. With me? She asked nervously. Well, when we went to see her, we tried to tell you weren't there, but she wouldn't believe us. She threatened us to leave before we upset you. She's completely snapped. Twilight, but she was content. Twilight bolted up and began to pace a little, uncomfortable at the news that she just heard. We would continually check up on her every so often, but with everyone having to deal with their own things, it was becoming really difficult. Eventually, we all promised we all promised to each other that we would never speak of Pinkie Pie again for her sake. We all believed she was happy, and she wanted to keep it that way. Rainbow Dash let her words sink for a moment before continuing. She shifted in her place, uneasy, but sitting still, and more uneasy that Twilight was silent. But she continued, if you go and meet her, and she sees you, or two of you, if you told her what happened, if she knows that you were still alive and never came back, it might destroy her. Send her over the edge. We didn't want to hurt her or endanger you. You saw how she was the last time we missed Gummy's after party. Something like this. Rainbow Dash couldn't finish the sentence. Small drops of tears began to roll down her face, Twilight stood there, not knowing how to even react. Are you telling me this now? Why? Twilight asked. Her voice was soft and barely audible. Rainbow Dash sighed before looking up to Twilight, explained, I think it's gone on long enough. It's been too long since any pony visited her, and it might be better not to risk it. Maybe it'll work out, and if it doesn't, well... Twilight snapped to as from a long daze. I'm going to see her. This is wrong. Cruel. I have to see her. Rainbow Dash slowly nodded in agreement and tried to stand up to join. Twilight found she was too injured from her earlier brawl with Applejack. Twilight shook her head and gave Rainbow Dash a light smile. It's okay, Dash. You're still badly hurt. And if it might get dangerous, I don't want you to have your life on my conscience too. Twilight turned to Fluttershy, who was stroking Rainbow Dash's bruised body. Fluttershy, will you look after Rainbow for me? Fluttershy put a leg on Rainbow Dash, around Rainbow Dash, and nodded at Twilight. Thank you, Fluttershy. And Rainbow Dash, you would tell me. Rainbow Dash grimaced in pain as she spoke. Twilight, just be careful, okay? Twilight nodded and began to walk away towards the ruins that Rainbow Dash spoke up, but paused at the moment and turned to see the two ponies. If I don't see you again, I just want you to know I love you all. Until Applejack is here again, and Rarity. I can't forgive her yet, but I still love her. Twilight broke into a sprint down the road, running as fast as she could. Joining the ruins of every forest took time and was uneventful. The time she spent wondering how bad it actually was, but Twilight feared the worst. She soon found herself crossing a familiar path past the cliff, down the slope, through the Manticore Den, past the creepy trees, over to the Serpent's River, and finally the rope bridge, where the fog was thickest as were large figures standing and waiting. Applejack stood there, blocking the small pass with her brawny body. I figured you would come eventually, Twilight. You know I can't let you cross this here bridge. Twilight stood her. Applejack, please, I have to see her. Stood her ground. Applejack, please, I have to see her. Applejack shook her head lightly. Twilight, look at us. After all you've seen today, with all the pain and hurt of everything, you haven't learned a thing. If you go in and see Pinkie Pie, you throw away what little happiness either of you two have. Twilight took a few steps towards Applejack. I can save her. I can explain to her. I will save her, please. Just get out of my way, Applejack. I don't want to fight you. Applejack gave a sarcastic laugh. You think it'd be more of a fight, Twilight? Twilight didn't move, but looked up to Applejack with pity and distress in her eyes. Do you enjoy hurting your friends, Applejack? Do you want me to end up like Dash? She paused for a moment, unable to wrap her mind around the knowledge. Wait. Oh yeah. Unable to wrap her mind around the knowledge that her friends have become so bitter. Do you want to kill me too? Applejack didn't flinch at the question, but gave a sigh, thinking of what she did to Rainbow Dash. You know, I never meant for her to. You never meant to cause that fire? But you're reckless when you're angry? You don't think? We are on the edge of a cliff. Maybe you won't mean to knock me off to my death, but I'm not going to be stopped from seeing Pinkie. Pinkie, it's your call. Twilight began to walk slowly Twilight began to walk slowly towards the bridge and Applejack. Applejack turned her head at the rickety rope, and drop. She gritted her teeth and soared underneath her breath before running back to Twilight. Dag nabbit, Twilight. You both better come out of there. You hear me? She yelled at Twilight before reluctantly moving to the side, allowing Twilight to pass. Twilight walked up to the Applejack and gave her a big hug and thanked her before walking across the bridge and disappearing into the thick fog. Chapter 7. All is well that ends well. Alright, final chapter. Here we go. Twilight nervously looked up at the ruins. The old castle brought back memories, both good and bad. She steeled herself and made her way inside, unsure what she would find. She began to head up slowly. She began to head up the only tower in the ancient building, noticing deflated balloons and scattering streamers hugging the steps, while walls had crude drawings of herself and other assortments of party items. As she neared the top of the tower and the room where she had discovered the elements of harmony all those years ago, she began to hear faint murmuring as she couldn't quite make out until she finally reached up to the top. She shut her eyes as tight as she could, afraid of what she would find. Twilight! A ghostly, familiar voice yelled out. Twilight was too scared to open her eyes. Pinkie Pie? She managed to Pinkie Pie? She managed to squeak out. Do you want more cake, Twilight? The voice asked. Twilight began to recall the memories of Pinkie Pie offering her cake, and couldn't help but grin a bit. I love some, she said softly, her voice fading as she opened her eyes. There she was Pinkie Pie, standing no more than 15 feet with her back to Twilight and a piece of cake in her hand, trying to feed a sack of grain that had been painted purple with an eerie familiar face on it, and a mop head for her hair, and a carrot for a horn. Twilight couldn't find any words to say as she looked at the scene in front of her. Oh, silly Twilight, you sure are clumsy. You dropped your cake again. Pinkie said as the cake slid off the sack onto the floor. Pinkie Pie suddenly froze. Oh, is that Twilight? We have a visitor? But this is a private party today. I didn't send out any invitations. Twilight cringed at the thought of what might happen if she was seen, but found herself unable to move an inch. Well then, let's see who came to party crash, shall we? Pinkie said as she spun to leaped into the air. It only took a split second, but Twilight lost sight of Pinkie. Twilight looked around, and with the panic of nearly choking, she managed to call out to Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie! She was frightened and turned around, ready to leave, but bumped into a smiling pink face. Aha! Pinkie screamed. Twilight also screamed as she stumbled on into the room and fell back on her flank in shock. Pinkie Pie. Hold on a minute, everyone. I swear this story is like loading a bit. There we are. So Aha! Pinkie Pie screamed. Twilight also screamed as she stumbled onto the room onto her flank in shock. Pinkie Pie leaned over and Twilight stared at her without saying another word. Pinkie, it's me, Twilight whispered. Pinkie suddenly let out a huge gasp, just like the very first time they met. You! She shouted in her usual happy tone. You look like Twilight. Twilight smiled. You remember me? Oh, Pinkie, I'm so... Wow, Twilight, you never told me you had a twin sister. Pinkie screamed as she turned to leap over to the sack while Twilight slowly stood up. Huh? What's that? Can she party too? Of course she can, silly. Pinkie Pie grabbed the sack and began to twirl around as if dancing. Twilight watched on, unsure what to do. Hey, Twilight's sister, what's your name? Come dance with me and tell me about yourself, Pinkie cheerfully said, swinging the sack around. Twilight walked closer to her. No, Pinkie, it's me, Twilight. It really is. I came to... Your name's Twilight too? Oh, wow. That must be really confusing for your parents, she said, giggling at the fact. Twilight shook her head and said, No, Pinkie, listen, please, I'm Twilight. She paused, hesitant to continue. You're dancing with a sack of grain. Her voice trailed off. Pinkie stopped dancing to look at the sack, then turned to Twilight. See, Pinkie? It really is me. You remember me now? I went away. I'm so... That's a pretty mean thing to say to your own sister, Twilight's sister. I think you should apologize. Twilight's face huffed as she tried to get Pinkie to see the truth. Pinkie, look at it. It's a sack. It's not me. Please. Just look at me, Twilight said as she lowered her head. Grief weighing down, and with all other emotions from today. Pinkie again looked at the sack. Twilight says prove it. If you're really Twilight, do some magic. Twilight lowered her head. I can't. My magic hasn't worked since I woke up from that coma. Pinkie Pie gave a chuckle. I knew it! You're an imposter! In fact, if I remember, Twilight didn't have any brothers or sisters. Well, she has a brother, Shining Armor. If all you remember the show. So you must be here too. She paused a moment before a giant gasp of realization escaped. Kidnap Twilight and stop my party! Pinkie Pie shouted as she jumped in front of the sack, taking an aggressive stance against Twilight. Twilight backed off a little. Oh, Pinkie, what did I do to you? Why can't I keep my promise to? If I would have known your life at every... Oh, no. You broke a promise? Now you're a bad pony. And Pinkie a stream of tears began to fall against Twilight's face, and much like for most of the day. I'm so sorry, Pinkie. I'm so sorry. Twilight managed to squeak out, but Pinkie started to walk towards her in anger. Twilight would never break a promise to me. See, she came back. You don't make promises you can't keep. Pinkie Pie accused as Twilight backed herself against the wall. You're right. I deserve this. Twilight couldn't go on anymore. And Pinkie Pie walked closer. Yes, you do. Do you know what happens to bad ponies who break promises? Pinkie said as she stood above Twilight. All Twilight could do was close her eyes. But nothing came. Twilight opened her eyes and saw Pinkie standing there quietly. Twilight looked up at Pinkie's face. It was worn and haggard. She had dark rings under her eyes, and her hair was slightly going gray. Twilight felt sick. She hadn't had time to really look at Pinkie until now, which is why looking you could see Pinkie Pie was gravely ill. Twilight began to cry. Then she had the entire day. I mean, Twilight began to cry harder than she had the entire day. Pinkie Pie, why, Twilight? Why did you lie to me? Pinkie Pie asked, whimpering. Her voice no longer cheerful or happy, but tried. But tried. But tried to keep the happy tone as she sat down. I waited for you to come back. I waited so long and you didn't come to my party. Because Twilight tried to stop crying, but found she couldn't. Pinkie, I wanted to. I never meant to lie to you. I know it won't change anything, but I never thought I would be gone so long. Pinkie turned her head away. You didn't write to us. You didn't send any word. You also said you died with Celestia, but I never believed it because you promised and you knew I would never. You would never, and you would never break that promise. Pinkie's tired voice trailed off for a moment. But you never came. Twilight embraced Pinkie Pie in a tight hug. But I'm here now. I did come back. I made you wait, and I can never make that up to you. I'm here now. Pinkie Pie's head drooped a little. But you're too late. You missed the party, she said, sighing lightly. Twilight shook her head and tried to reassure her. Pinkie Pie, I'm here now. We can find the others and we'll make a new party. For all of us, together. Twilight smiled as Pinkie, who looked up at Twilight, smiled back. I like that, Pinkie giggled. Twilight managed to let out a soft chuckle. Yeah, a party. For all our friends. But cake, strawberries, pens, and spin down on the pony, and piñata. Gotta have a piñata, right? Pinkie Pie bounced up from the ground with a smile. Twilight remained sitting there, watching her. Pinkie Pie turned to Twilight. I wish I could sing for us, and with her birds. I always loved her singing. It's so cute. Twilight's heart sank a bit. Rarity can make all of us pretty dresses like the ones I wear at the gala. I love that dress, even though it didn't have enough pink ribbons. But it was silly of me. Pinkie bounded at the room some more. And Twilight tried to talk, but couldn't find the strength. I haven't checked a big bunch of apple dishes. I got a great idea from your birds. I want to pull on her. Pinkie let out a giggle. Twilight gritted her teeth. And she knew what was coming. Remember that? Wow, she must have learned a lot of tricks. Maybe we should do a double sonic rainbow. I bet she could. After all, she's the best flyer at all of. Stop! Pinkie, please, just. Twilight begged, who turned to look at Twilight. Twilight begged Pinkie, who looked to turn at her. What's up, Twilight? Oh, am I being too loud again? Sorry, Pinkie Pie said with a smile on her face. Twilight's heart sank lower as she looked up to the ground. As she looked to the ground with her body tensing up. Pinkie, you don't know? You haven't seen any of them? Pinkie pondered for a moment and responded as if she didn't have a care in the world. Nope, not in a few years, I think. Nopey dopey. It's been a while. Twilight felt sick to her stomach as she gave a heavy sigh. How could she tell Pinkie? But if she didn't, how would Pinkie Pie react if she met them again? Pinkie Pie thought she had lied before, and she couldn't do it to her again. What could she say? Twilight? Pinkie said as she... Hold on, something... Oh, I thought something fell on me. Twilight? Pinkie said as she put her hope on her shoulder. Twilight looked up at Pinkie with a somber face. Pinkie, listen to me. The others, they changed. A lot. A lot of bad things happened while we were away from them. You aren't how you remember them. Pinkie looked confused. But I remember them like it was yesterday. How much could you change in a few years, silly? Pinky giggled as Twilight grabbed her hook, and explained everything that she learned that day. No, sorry, not too much, guys. Pinky sat down. Her face not as bright as it had been. Twilight apologized. I'm sorry, Pinky, but now, when we see them, we'll know what happened. And Twilight was interrupted by Pinky's hoof softly covering her lips as she shed a single tear. Twilight, I think I don't want to see them after all now. Twilight shook her head. No, it's okay. We'll work it out. We can bring the group back together and... Pinky's mouth turned into a tired smile. Twilight, I was happy. I was happy with the party and you. We all talked about cool things we did and shared old memories together. We were so happy. We were all happy. She turned to Twilight. I don't want to change that. I don't want to see that part. Pinky looked at the broken ceiling and the stars that filled the night sky. I want to stay here. Pinky started to lightly cough as she laid her head on the ground. Twilight placed Pinky's head in her arms, cradling her gently. Pinky, are you okay? Pinky smiled and spoke in a soft, sad whisper. It's nothing. I think my heart just broke. That's all. Twilight shook her head softly. Don't say things like that, Pinkie Pie. Please, I'm worried about you. Pinky chuckled softly before erupting into a fit of violent coughing. Pinkie Pie! Twilight shouted. Pinky eventually caught her breath. Twilight. Pinky asked, as her voice quieter and softer before and wheezing. I think it's time to go now, she said, smiling at Twilight, who nodded agreement. You're right. Let's get you out of here, Twilight said as she carefully tried to pull Pinky, but she resisted. It's okay, Twilight. I'm gonna have one last farewell party, Pinky whispered. Twilight looked to Pinky with confusion. A farewell party? She asked before Pinkie Pie's through the face. Pinky, Twilight panicked as she shook her head. I said it was okay, Twilight. Actually, I think I died a long time ago, Pinky said as she smiled at Twilight again, trying to tell her that it would be okay. The thought of seeing you again kept me here. I kept you here to have one last party with me. So I made you be with me, so we could party forever. Together forever. Pinky's voice faded as she rolled onto her back. Twilight still held on to her and shook her gently. No, Pinky, don't do this, Pinky. Please, we're going to go back together. Please. Twilight's tears were soaking Pinky as she sobbed quietly. Twilight, it's okay. I'm too tired to party now. Anyways, the other girls, I don't think they wanted me to party with me after everything happened. It's okay. I had a fun time, and you didn't come to my party. I'm happy. Pinky wheezed, but still smiled at Twilight. Twilight began pounding the ground with her hooves, feeling cheated. Why? Why is this happening? I found you, and we were going to go back. So why? Pinky closed her eyes, still holding a smile. Don't be sad, Twilight. I love you. Pinky held her arms. Please, Pinky, I love you, but please. Pinkie Pie smiled and turned her head. Of course I forgive you. How can I stay mad at someone I love so much? Pinky giggled, but was full of sorrow. Twilight couldn't do anything more but screaming up at the night sky. A few moments had passed, and Pinky turned her head. You know, I like to sing my song that sang for us. And hear every chorus when we're really scared. So you won't be scared when I go. Is that okay? She asked in a soft whisper, again as Twilight held on to her. Yes. I love to hear Pinkie Pie. Sing it for me, she said, softly crying her eyes out. Pinkie softly singing, her voice quiet but calm and brave. But I was going feeling, and the sun was going down. The darkness and the shadows, they would always make me frown. I hid it in my pillow from whatever I saw. But Granny Pie said that wasn't the way to deal with fears at all. She said, Pinkie, you gotta stand up tall. You have to face your fears. You'll see that they can't hurt you. Just let them make it disappear. Her voice faded as she gave Twilight one last big smile, and then she was still. Twilight held her for what seemed an eternity. She didn't want to let go. She couldn't let go, but eventually she had to, though. If only just to get out of the room. She slowly stood up and made her way over to the sack with her face on it. She tried to smile, but quickly gave, and dragged it back to Pinkie, placing it in her arms. She wanted to cry, but her tears were finally spent. She kissed Pinkie on the head and whispered to her that she hoped they have everlasting parties in heaven. She made her way down the stairs and the entrance to the ruins, a soulless look in her eyes. Once outside, Twilight could begin to wonder if she had any purpose other than to destroy the lives of her best friends. I don't want to do this anymore, she said to herself. She walked to the edge of the cliff. I can't take this. She paused as she peered into the darkness below. Everyone and everything I ever cared about is gone or destroyed. All the things I held dear. All I cause is pain. She teetered on the edge. I'm so sorry, everyone. For everything. She looked up to the cold night sky at the stars. I want to see you again, but it's too much to bear. Dash, take care of Fluttershy for me. Verity, please find it in your generous heart to change your ways. And Applejack? Applejack peered out into the mist as she crossed the rope bridge, could barely make out a figure. Twi? Is that you? She called out. Twilight dangled one hoof over the edge. Applejack, please don't come any closer. I don't want you to talk me out of this. I can't go on like this anymore. She whimpered, trying to cry. Applejack walked closer as she could see Twilight clearly, and stepped dead, not wanting to provoke her. Twi, what are you doing? Where's Pinkie Pie? Twi hung her head low. She's gone, Applejack. I couldn't save her. I couldn't save any of you. Applejack frowned and sat down. This is what we were all afraid of what happened. That's why. She passed away peacefully. She was happy. But even so, I sent these events in motion, Applejack. It did not matter my intentions were. I was selfish and this is what brought me. I still caused it. Applejack got up slowly and took a step forward to Twilight. Don't. Applejack. Applejack did as she was commanded. If you have to stay with us, there's no way you could have known any of our lives would be different, Twi. You can't blame yourself. Twi shook her head. I know Pinkie's would have. Because out of all of us, she was the one who enjoyed life the most. And I took the happiness away from her. I'm never gonna make that mistake again. She turned to Applejack. Please be nice to me. That's all I ask. Twilight and Applejack, I'm so sorry. Twilight, no! Applejack yelled out, but it was too late. Twilight stepped forward and began to fall. As she fell, she remembered all the happier days she had with her friends. Spike, Pinkie, and Princess Celestia all appeared in her mind. Twilight, it's okay. Your favorite #1 assistant is here. I'll be sure to tie you up to place before you get back. Twilight Gear and Spike say. I have an invitation for you to my latest party. I'm sure you'll come to this one. If the cave you're late this time, I have a feeling you might be. She heard Pinkie in her old joyful voice, giggling. Twilight Sparkle, my faithful student, do not be sad. Life has many lessons to be learned, both good and bad. And don't worry this time. We'll be able to talk about it, but not just by letters. So I could hear the soft laughter of Princess Celestia. I will see you soon. And in Twilight, although things may not been how you hoped to be, I'm proud that you kept your friendship back together again. I'm proud that you tried to bring your friendship back together again. Good night, my little one. Twilight saw the princess smile one last time. She shed one last tear and whispered to herself, Thank you, princess. Everything went dark. And that is the end of the long benevolent story of My Little Pony, Friendship is Tragic. So with that, I like to say Venomelon, good job. You made one hell of a story and I love it. And I'm pretty sure everyone else loved it as well. So with that, I'll see you next time. So don't forget to like, leave a comment, subscribe, and light it up blue. Bye!